Today, you are going to get a front row seat to the incredible behind the scenes story of how the Springboks won the 2007 Rugby World Cup with team manager Zola Yeye. Zola, welcome to Front Row Rugby.
Hi, Peter, and hi to everyone.
Now, just before we begin our conversation, here's a quick look at today's trivia question. Who scored the Springboks' opening try at the 2007 Rugby World Cup? Now, if you know the answer to the question, you can put it in the comment section down below, and we'll also find out if Zola remembers the answer to that, but we'll do that at the end of our conversation. Zola, let's begin with the story of how you actually became the Springbok team manager. Tell us about that.
Well, it's quite an interesting journey for me. I'm a Springbok, but not on the side of the white Springboks then. I'm a fully fledged Springbok, black Springbok. I played for a non-racial side, which is KwaZulu Rugby Union. And then we had a mantra that said, no normal sport in a normal society, under the umbrella of SARU, South African Rugby Union, under Ibrahim Patel. And so we had provinces, Western Province, Tygerberg, Somerset, and Eastern Province, Central Karoo. We had also provinces, Border and Veru, all those provinces well spread across the country, predominantly black and colored, formation. And I played for my club, which is Spring Rose. That was established in 1907. You can see how far we come from. 1907, and I captained the team. In 1980, 79, 80, 81, we were double champions for quite some time. I captained also the Chicky Watsons of a renowned Chicky Watson and Tembalo Dwaba, Lucky Mang, a lot of these guys. As I was a young athlete, and I'm a 100 meters, 200 meters champion. Victor Ludorum in my school for 5 years, I collected everything in the province. So potentially, I'm a pedigree of note. So that was not known by many because we lived separately. It was known by my community, and came the elections in 1994 that opened everything. Came the merger of SARU, Southern Rugby Board, and SARU in 1992. So that's the beginning of my journey to be part and parcel of a mixed or a non-racial South Africa that's been emancipated, that voted and became part of it. So I'm not more or less a hybrid that was parachuted into the position. Administratively, I'm sound and intellectually sound. I'm highly educated, and I've been a captain of my team, captain of my province, and I've done a lot of things. And I've also worked for the SABC as an administrator, a provincial general manager. So I had all these things on top of me. Came I think it was 2006, somewhere there. I got a call to say that, listen, we've been looking around. There's no other person that meets your pedigree, and will love you, to be part of it. I said, guys, I'm doing a lot of things. At that time, I was researching for my PhD, and I said, you're going to disturb me. And secondly, I've got a job. I'm a general manager of the SABC in the province. And all what you need to do is for you guys to speak to my principals for them to give a go-ahead. And I left it with them. That's how I became a Springbok manager. There was a kind of an agreement, and then I was seconded to the Springboks. And fortunately for me, we won the Rugby World Cup in 2007.
A lovely journey, actually. Zola, I actually read in Jake White's autobiography. I don't know if you've read it, but at the time he said that he actually wanted Arthur Peterson to be the team manager. If you were aware of that, how did that make you feel?
Well, I didn't read a lot on that because there were quite a lot of names that were brandished. And during that period, there was Nas Botha, who was Jake's kind of manager for the junior team that won the Rugby World Cup. There were quite a number of them who were kind of, Arthur Peterson, Arthur was more or less a regular part of the finish of the Springboks. So he needed somebody, that he knew and he could entrust with responsibility. And then I was an unknown entity when it came to him. Remember, he was a school teacher, a physical and trainer at school. He wouldn't know about me that much, and we never played rugby together. I pardoned him for that. So he didn't know me that much. So he didn't kind of make me upset and all that stuff. I just moved on. And when I told them the first time I met them, I said, I haven't come here to reinvent the wheel. I've come to add value. And I've got the expertise and I've got the capacity to make sure that everything will work well. And also, I won't do any person any harm, because I happen to be black, because the Springboks are a national asset. They're not somebody's kind of private kind of entity.
So, Zola, what was your relationship like with Jake in the end?
In truth and correct, I didn't know Jake other than, reading about him as a coach of the Springboks. Remember, he was a coach of the Springboks then. And their tours to Australia, their losses there, a lot of people disgruntled about the way the team was playing and all that stuff. I used to comment, I used to comment on that because as a former Springbok, as an analyst, a sports analyst, people like to come to me and ask me about what do you think? What do you think? My thoughts were clear. When they were playing well, I'll support them. When they were doing something wrong, I'll say that they need to do this and that and that and that. I was saying that from experience, and I was not saying that from a critic that was not constructive. And then I didn't know him from a bar of soap. I've never shook hands with him until the first day I met him in Johannesburg. I shook his hands, and then I wouldn't say we had a chemistry or a relationship there and there, because at the back of his mind, he had the people he wanted whom he wanted. But you are a coach, and then you don't select your management. You only suggest, and then the administrators, they make sure that these are the people that should work with you, because you are not an indispensable entity. You are part of a nucleus of people that will make sure that the team succeeds. And then your failure becomes everybody's failure. The success becomes everybody's success. Also, the union, starts gloating about the success. So I didn't know him that much, and the politics of my appointment and him, they are well renowned. And for me, I normally say to people when they ask me about Jake, it's not worth the salt to talk about those things, because they're not going to do me anything, that will make me to smile. If somebody doesn't know you, and I pardon him also, I feel sorry for him, and feel sorry for a lot of whites who never saw me play, who never saw us play, and then it becomes a moment of sensitivity and emotion, because if you say you don't know me, it's because the racist system that was institutionalized made you not to know me, because I would have loved to play against your son or against you. You would have known me. So you would have more or less, minus the issue of me knowing you or not knowing you. So it's, for me, Jake's issue was neither here or there. It was far-fetched and unfounded that there was this acrimony and recrimination between myself and him. It's because he listened to a lot of people that, this guy has been parachuted by politicians. Fortunately, I've lectured political science honor students, and I've got masters. One of my majors is political science. I'm not a politician. I'm a sportsman through and through. And also that's what he didn't know. That's what he didn't know. Later on, he learned exactly what kind of me. And it's shame. It's a shame also. I see a lot of people have read his book, and then they, you know, his book was more vengeful. He had revenge on the system or the people who made me to be a Springbok manager, you know. But he didn't understand that I fully qualified to be where I was. You know, he's not a Springbok. He was a Springbok coach. He's not a Springbok. I played in a Springbok team, and I've got colors. You know, that's why there was a debate at some point. Is that should administration or the coaches and everybody who were there who were never Springboks, must they also wear the Springbok blazer and tie? There was a debate. I remember when Eddie Jones came, there was a debate whether to give him the Springbok jersey, Springbok blade. He's not a Springbok. He was never a Springbok. He's a coach. He's qualified to be a coach, you know. And for me, when I wear my blazer, my Springbok blazer, and I wear it with pride because I know I've played, I've been there. If you don't know my history, you know, if you don't know my history, don't judge me based off your information, the information you don't have, or small information you don't have. So English is very clear. Little information is dangerous. My father used to say to me, you know what? He failed in one thing. He should have asked me. My father used to say to me, if you do not know, ask. And when you ask, you become a fool for a couple of seconds, but a wise person for the rest of your life. That's the position. He ended up writing something, you know, diabolical in his book, and that he didn't know me and all that stuff. I didn't have, which is fundamentally lying. I saved that guy from a mess he was in. He drank clip drift right through, you know, to try to drown his sorrows. And I saved him on numerous occasions. Saru wanted to recall him. We're in London. Saru wanted to call him. You know, I told them, you can't mess up our communication and also our relationship with the media by calling Jake White. In the book, he lies. He said, I recommended that he must be called, must recall to South Africa, which is nonsense, you know, which is nonsense. And I'm not a kind of a person who derives pleasure from other people's pain. And because there were utterances that he made, he likes to shoot himself on both feet and shooting from the hip and making a lot of enemies. He had a lot of enemies in the media. I don't want to mention their names. He knows. And then I stood up one day in a meeting, and all of them, they were there. I pleaded with him, make peace with this guy from the media. Go and have a cup of tea. Because this guy, on a daily basis, he writes something taboo or negative about you. Make peace with him for the sake of the team. You know, it's me because I'm a journalist. You know, I'm a journalist. I know when a journalist smells blood, they say if it bleeds, it leads. They follow you. They follow you. They want exactly to nail you down. And then he was on that kind of process. These guys were sitting straight at him because they knew his shortcomings. They knew his shortcomings. And he was uncomfortable because there were quite a number of people also were people said he must be removed so that so-and-so can be the coach, so-and-so and all that stuff. So I came at a time that was very precarious, a time that was very kind of, you know, worrisome and concerning. So I had to fix it. They didn't have, when I came in, they didn't have a relationship with the media. And I stabilized that. If you look at the videos, there's not a single moment when they have a media conference, I'm not sitting next to them. They will plead and look for me, even if I'm in the bathroom. Where is Mr. Yeye? Because I would answer all the tough questions when it came to the political things and all those things. Because our country is a developing country And a lot of people are still not happy with the way the formation or the selection of the team. So I will come in. They have to, in my media conference, Jake and the coaches and the medical teams, they'll talk about players. If things like politically, things or issues or administrative issues or fallouts or any unsavory kind of thing that will happen, all those things will be pointed at me. And I was comfortable. And, I'm not a spin doctor. I speak facts. I speak the truth all the time. First thing I taught myself as a person, speak the truth at the beginning. It will save you.
Do you really know your rugby? Do you always get your predictions right? Why not make some money then? Open an account right now with Tic Tac Bets and get up to 2,000 Rand and 20 spins with your first deposit. The link is appearing on your screen and I'll also put it in the description area. Please note that this is an affiliate link and I will make a little commission on it. Winners know when to stop. National Responsible Gambling Program. Toll-free helpline 0800 006 008. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Some fascinating stuff there, Zola. So off to the World Cup then, 2007, taking place in France, as it is now again in 2023. In the opening match, we beat Samoa very comfortably. Brian Abana with a hat-trick of tries, and then we had that big match against England, and they were, of course, still the defending champions, even though they maybe weren't as strong as they were 4 years previously. But the Springboks destroyed England that night. What was the feeling among management after that victory?
It was, a joyous moment for us. I was overwhelmed with emotions. And, I'm not a person who derives pleasure from any pain. But England, they were the world champions. And we were on the world champions, platform. And for the boys to click, against England and also produce that result, it was a turnaround. And we knew that we needed to ride on the momentum. Management, they were just singing in the rain. But we're not overconfident because we knew there were a lot of obstacles on the way. I remember being interviewed on radio. I think it was an Irish, kind of BBC, whatever. And I couldn't stop talking. And I didn't understand I knew what I was saying, but the joy in me, my senses, the adrenaline was pumping and overwhelmed and excited about, the win itself, clinical, high intensity, and, those are some of the moments because I'm a rugby player. I used to play rugby. I know when you win, you win against a big team. England is a huge team. We have to respect. I still respect England today. I respect them. But when when we fell that giant, that big obstacle, and we knew the road was still long. We didn't know that All Blacks will fail or will be beaten. We didn't know France also will be beaten. The strong teams, we didn't know Australia also will be beaten. But we knew we have beaten England, in a pool, and as long as we ride on that momentum to make sure that we'll reach the finals, which is the knockout stages. That's when things turn around. There'll be a paradigm shift. There'll be a change of strategy based on that because it's a knockout kind of system. That's how intense that the tournament is. It needs focus and it needs also fit individuals. It's unbelievable. My management, especially the doctors that I had, the physios, everybody that was there, everyone was focused. Everyone wanted that team to succeed, including myself. No one wanted anything other than a success. Not a success for Zola Yeye or for Jake White, but a success for the team and for the country, because we were given opportunity by the country to go to war against other countries. So, and then when we did well, it was well even at home. And the interest from people in South Africa was overwhelming. the call we got, people already booked their tickets, booked their accommodations. Everybody calling, parents and everybody, they went berserk. That's what we were told. South Africa talk rugby, which is the unifying thing. Madiba used to say sport is the unifying kind of, tool you can use to make sure that everybody, gets more or less the opportunity one has or once won.
Absolutely. So, Zola, during the pool stages, there was a disciplinary hearing that Francois Steyn had to attend. Talk to me about the role that you had to play during that process.
I laugh when I foreshadow, I think back about Francois one. Francois he was an interesting character, and he's got one of those very special moments or special rooms in my heart, because he's such an humble and an emotional young guy, very highly talented from Alwan North here in the Eastern Cape, if you didn't know about that. And then when he came in 2006, I think he was run about 16 or 17. He's a big boy with a big boot, big heart, courageous, And then he went to the World Cup in 2007, a game breaker, a hybrid horse, very, very good boy. Now, Francois, I got a note. They were looking for me in the hotel. I got this note to say that Francois must go to a hearing for biting somebody. Yeah, biting somebody. And then I looked for Francois. I couldn't get hold of him. Where is Francois? Looked all those rooms. Eventually, I got hold of him, knocked at the room. He was there. I said, Francois, hey, it is. You've been cited for biting. He said in Afrikaans, Eke, yeah, Eke. Meneer Yeye, ek het 'n gum shield, yeah. He said, I was wearing a gum shield. How can I bite somebody with a gum shield? I said, yeah, man, the man said. I said, Francois, there's nothing I can say. You've been cited for biting. That's one of those kind of exciting moments. But we knew we'll be vindicated. Francois didn't bite that guy. He didn't bite that guy. He had a gum. The evidence was there. These guys wear gums now. I don't know whether the teeth can protrude through a gum and cause such a mark, a visible mark. But we went to that one. But the biggest hearing was with Schalk. That was a Schalk hearing. That was where I had to go and sit and also organize, and together with his father and together with the big guys, big business people in South Africa, and our legal entity, SARU, and everybody else, and go and sit there, because we were worried if they were going to ban him, you would have had major repercussions in our camp. Because Schalk is such a talent, and a very unique talent, and he had a special place in the team. So we wouldn't like to lose him. So we had to defend Schalk, at all costs. So we went there, we sat down, and it's guys who come from Australia, comes from maybe Argentina or somewhere, the judiciary, court of law is not an easy thing, whether it's a hearing or no. People come with clauses and the constitution and the disciplinary, codes of conduct and all kind of things they juggle and just put in front of the boy. But as luck would have it, and he didn't, kind of get the punishment that everybody was talking about, that he'll end up missing out on him playing at that World Cup. So those are some of the challenging moments. And the press with Schalk, they had a field day. Almost when the press is after you, even if you sneeze, they stay with you. They want you to collapse. Even if you collapse, they stay with you. They want you to be buried 6 feet under. Even if you're buried 6 feet under, They say he must be taken out to be tested, try and get a DNA and check this guy is dead. Is he the one who's there? That's what was happening there. And then the question was, who else was there? Zola Yeye was there. What does Zola know about legal? They forgot, my first, tertiary kind of subject. I attended the law school. I went to school, did it at Forte. So I was comfortable with, not necessarily, I'm not a lawyer, but I was comfortable with legal matters. I used to go through all the cases and then used to do a lot of things. An administrator also at work. I knew the issues when it came, the labor unions would bring issues. You have to look at the case study. You have to look at certain things, whether it's balance of probability or whether it's beyond reasonable doubt. So we went there. I was prepared, but I was quiet, and I had to calm down. And then the lawyer they brought, to fight his case out. I was very happy. He eventually stayed with us. He was not kicked out of the World Cup.
Zola, we beat Fiji in the quarterfinals, and that same weekend, Australia were knocked out of the World Cup, as were the All Blacks. Would you say that at that moment you realized that the World Cup was ours to lose?
We realized, but we're very, very kind of concerned. We still had to play Argentina. Argentina was on fire. And it would have been Argentina's first final if we would have beaten them in the semifinals. So we were very kind of guided in our excitement, or I would say we didn't want to look beyond the team we're going to play. We wanted to take, they say, if you want to eat an elephant, you must bite it piece by piece. We just did that. We focused on every team that we're going to play, because the road was clear, but it was still dangerous. We could have gone to that match against Argentina and not produced the same kind of intensity we produced against England when we beat them 36-0. We could have played a negative rugby. They could have destroyed that because they had a powerful pack. Those players from Argentina came from Europe. They played in Europe and Toulouse, Marseille, all those places. They were a collection of highly trained individuals, and then we were weary of them. We were weary of them, but we're not afraid of them. But we respected them. We're not afraid of them. And then when we beat them, you don't know what happened. They could have killed a cat. The way they were so angry. They went on their bus. I don't know. Somebody said they might have stripped the chairs of those buses. They couldn't believe that we beat them, because we had the momentum, and we had the team, and we had the potential, and we had the focus. Our focus now was clear. If we beat them, we go to the final. Anything can happen in the final. When you get to the final, it's 50-50. Anyone can win.
And indeed, we beat Argentina, and we were playing England again for the second time at that tournament after having beaten them 36-0, as you mentioned. And also, Zola, you'll remember that earlier in the year, we beat England twice by 50 points in test matches on home soil. Given the dominance that the Springboks had experienced over England, how was Jake able to keep the players focused in that week leading up to the final?
Let me tell you this, people, something they don't know. The role of our medics and our physios and our psychologists. We're brilliant people. We're a brilliant group of people that were there. And, psychologically work them out. Before we played the final, that week of the final, there was not a single player that had an injury. It's how focused these guys are. There was not a single player that we maintained a solid kind of platform or a solid blanket to protect them from any unsavory or acrimonious noise that could, deter them from thinking about what is going to happen in a couple of, couple of hours. I would put it hours, because England, we knew they might have started us. We started them also, and we knew we normally beat them, even at Twickenham from time to time, So, but things would have changed now. It's the final. So we didn't want us to be too relaxed and all that stuff. What I was happy about is the state of health and the mentality, strong mentality they had before. That strong mentality is the one that carried the team to the final. And nothing else, guys. This is it. 80 minutes, period, sacrosanct, ring-fenced. The pride is there. Everyone can see. There's the pride. Let's go for it.
And we won it 15-6, and we'd won the Rugby World Cup for the second time. Tell me, Zola, when the referee blew the final whistle, how did you feel?
I danced. I was not holding anyone. I was holding the nice, fresh air in Paris. I danced nicely like this. I said, hallelujah, and God is great, and I was overwhelmed also emotionally, because it was a heavy, kind of road. The road is always heavy when you have a different pack of individuals, different traditions, different cultures, and different language. And also all of them are bound by potential they have, and also are bound by one green and gold jersey that's had, a history of winning things and making sure that the country also is on the international map. And I felt good for myself. Guess what I did? Because I knew I'm not going to stay for a long time with the Springboks. I sent an SOS call for my wife to come. I said to her, this could be my last time as a Springbok manager, and I want you to experience it. And I have a feeling that we're going to win this Rugby World Cup. Come, my wife. She came, she flew down with Francois Steyn's girlfriend, landed in London. They came to the, and I didn't disappoint her. And I didn't disappoint the people who entrusted me with the responsibility. I didn't cause any chaos. I didn't have any scandal. And I didn't also, bring any depression on any individual. And all what I brought is joy and excitement and victory. And I lived by the mantra of my high school, Cowan High School, that nil nisi optimum. That night in Paris at the stadium, there was nothing else but the best. And I became the best manager. I brought home gold. I was the second Springbok manager, but I was the first black to bring a gold home.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, why not consider becoming a patron? You can click on my Patreon link, I'll put it on the screen as well as in the description box, and there will be great benefits for members. Let's get back to the interview. Zola, in 1995, Madiba famously wore Francois Pienaar's number 6 jersey. And then in 2007, we saw President Mbeki appear at the final in his Springbok jacket. I think it was a little bit colder that night than it was when Madiba and Francois interacted. But talk to me about the way that President Mbeki interacted with the Springbok team that night.
Remarkable. He's a remarkable man. And he's not like the character of Madiba, and all that stuff. But he is a student of discipline, and also, and his words are measured, and they sit into your brain chemistry so that you can succeed. When he came down, and remember what happened before him, Madiba came. Madiba was at the hotel. You had a picture with him. We sat with him and pictures with him. He said, well, I've done my job. Thabo will look after you thereafter. Okay, he shook hands, and then I'll see you in South Africa. Next time I see you, you better bring that trophy. And then he said, yes, Madiba will do that. And then the first person who visited us was the deputy president of the country, high profile, Mlambo Ngcuka. She came and said she was bringing the blessings and the greetings from the people of South Africa. We embraced that, and then we thank her for coming. Because sometimes when you've been away, you've been on the road for far too long, and you think about what's happening at home and all that stuff. But she assured us that the country is behind us. And it was so commendable to hear that from the deputy president. She left unbeknown to her and then to some of the people. When we got into the final, we heard a big word that the president is on his way. The president said to Mlambo Ngcuka, the deputy president, tell those boys, if they get into the final, I'll come to Paris. I won't come there for them to lose. They better win the trophy. So we had those kind of, military kind of, encouragements and given instructions by your commander-in-chief that we need to do this, and you do it the right way. So we as administrators, we had to make sure that he came. When he came down, he came with the Minister of Sport then, Makengesi Stofile, and some greats, rugby greats in South Africa. He came down, he sat with us and assured us that, guys, no matter what it takes, I'm here now. You are in the final, and we know your potential, and we know you can deliver, And he didn't say, if you fall short, don't come back. No, he said, and we're very proud. You've made us proud. You've made the country proud. Everyone in the world, millions are watching the Springboks again, getting to the final with the potential of us winning. And then he came. There's a guy called Ashwin Willemsen. When we won the final, and Ashwin and me, we had a kind of nice talk, man-to-man talk. Listen, Ashwin, we know that the French or the World Cup, World Rugby said no one must come on the field, but we want our president to come on the field. Somebody must go and bring him. He must get out of those nice presidential suites. He must come down. And then somebody sent that message. And then the President Thabo Mbeki came down. And we planned it with Ashwin. Said, Ashwin, Madiba wore a number 6 jersey. Nobody lifted him. But this one is going upstairs. We want to lift him. Ashwin, President Mbeki didn't know. Remember, he's got his security protocol and all that stuff. It was a security detail he goes with. And then I sat on I was stood on that side, and Ashwin were in the front. And then the trophy, when John Smith lifted the trophy, and then he gave the trophy to President Mbeki, and then we just lifted him high, and we could see he was panicking. He thought maybe there was something, untoward what was happening. We never told him what we want to do. We were very naughty, but our naughtiness was very sweet, based on the excitement that was there. He accepted it. I remember when we arrived back, when he invited us to Mashamandovu at the Union Building, and when he arrived with the team, he said, there are 2 guys I want to discipline. How can they lift oh man, so high? And then it was quite a sweet thing. It was a sweet thing, momentous thing, and it's in the archives of history now. The pictures are there to tell that sweet moment that politicians, administrators, sports people enjoyed. All of us, we ate from the same dish, we sang from the same hymn book, we drank from the same pond.
Zola, let's stay with the excitement and the joy theme for a moment. The Springboks came home and they had ticker tape bus parades all over the country. Almost every major city the Springboks made their way through on the bus. I was lucky enough to be on the bus in Cape Town. What an atmosphere, what an occasion. Talk to me a little bit about those parades.
Those parades were were incredible. They were incredible. Throngs of people, from all walks of life, different colors, a rainbow nation of our country, celebrating a victory that have made the nation so proud. And we're there, up there, who felt, the weight of their joy. And then it lifted us up. And to say, if our country can be like that, can celebrate like that, let them ride on arm. We've set a fertile platform for our country just to move forward and do the right thing. What we're happy with, we were celebrating, we're joyful, we're rejoicing on success. And then we wish our country can more or less ride on this fertile platform of joy and pride and forget about everything, whether you're black or you're white or you're poor or you're needy or whatever. That's the kind of momentum that was that was inseparable from the occasion. It was something that was that bound us all. When we looked at each other, we could see guys wanting to kiss each other. They embraced each other. We forgot about everything. We thought about the victory and what kind of victory brought to the country. And not a single politician didn't want to be part of us, which means we're the glue that bound the opposition and the government in charge and whoever. And it was that kind of a moment that it will ever sit in my brain, ever sit in my life, and it will be treasured for a long, long time. And that we make sure when we crisscrossed, we came to Port Elizabeth. All those guys on that bus, they said, "Zola, where's your home?" I said, "There's my home." The bus stopped for a moment. I saw my mother's home, and I wish my mother and my father were still alive to see the sign. What you should remember, I'm the only child. You understand? If I can achieve such, they would have been overjoyed, But they saw me playing those days. Yes. But this was an international stage, and it was not a Zola Yeye team. It was a South African team that has achieved. And it was celebrated worldwide. The win in France and Paris gave me friends across the oceans. I'm still friends with them to date. We send each other emails. We talk about it. I remember the guys who are in France as we speak. They're asking me, "Are you coming to France?" I said, I don't know. The euro is too strong against the rand. Provided I get a sponsor, somebody can sponsor for me to defend my trophy there, I would come to France. That's the kind of relationship. There's a saying that says that life is about conversations and partnerships. It's that kind of conversation you have. We had a conversation on the rugby field, and we had a relationship with our communities and our country. That stays there, sitting there historically. Nobody can remove it.
It really was a special time, and just talking about it now, bringing back all those memories, I can feel the goosebumps, Zola. Let's finish with the trivia question. Who scored the Springboks' opening try at the 2007 Rugby World Cup? Zola, I know that you know the answer, but I have to check if you remember the answer.
2007. Is it Brian Abana?
It is Brian Abana. He scored the opening try for the Springboks in 2007. And of course, we went on to beat Samoa in that game, and the rest is history. Zola, let me say, it was lovely having you on Front Row Rugby today. Some fascinating stories, and I really want to thank you for sharing those with us. And I hope that we can have you on again in the future.
Much obliged. Thank you very much also, Peter. Godspeed.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm also working on a lot of Rugby World Cup related content, and I'll put that in a playlist over here for you to go and watch. See you next time.